Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to do that thing where we ask that question, which Pokémon TCG set should you be collecting, investing in, focusing on, or however else you want to phrase it. And what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at the brand new release Surging Sparks, the slightly older, but not really that old, it's not been out that long, Steallar Crown, and the it's not out yet, but we know it's coming and we're all very excited about this, Prismatic Evolutions. So if we start from oldest to newest, we need to start off with the fact that Steallar Crown is a good set. There is a lot of good stuff about Steallar Crown. Steallar Crown is a set which has surprised and impressed a lot of people, I think is probably the way to put it. I mean, if we have a look at the big cards here, the money cards, the value cards, phrase it how you will, obviously we've got the Terapagos. And the Terapagos here is a pretty big deal as far as it goes. It is currently trending at somewhere in the region of like a $90 card. It's a very cool card. But we also have a couple really big illustration rares in the set as well. Two of the biggest illustration rares in the entirety of the Scarlet and Violet block. I mean, since these illustration rares came around, these are two of the biggest illustration rares you're going to see. Of course, you get your Bulbasaur and your Squirtle, both of which are trending at around about, well, Squirtle about $50, Bulbasaur about 40. And the illustration rares have higher pull rates than things like the special illustration rares. So having a couple of those in the set that are looking really good, I think is a great thing. And then there's a few decent mid-range cards. You know, your special illustration rares of like Hydrapple, Lacey, Dashpan. They're all decent enough cards. And then you've got Galvantula. And then there's a few others kind of underneath it which are a bit less good. Everything after that is like $20 or less. So value-wise, you've got one big card, two like $40 cards or $50 cards, couple of 30, couple of 25s, and then it goes down from there. Not an amazing set value-wise, but there is a big hit to be had, and a few mid-range hits as well, and that's pretty good. But it's also proven to be a set which is great in terms of playability here. There are a lot of cards which are proving to be staples and proving to be very good. Now, obviously here, we've got Terapagos, which it started to do a lot better. It's still not, winning the big tournaments in the US and Europe, but it is doing very well. It's making some waves. It's very good along those lines. We've got things like Hydrapple, which is a very nice card that a lot of people are getting very excited about, and they maybe should be. Galvantula has a lot of potential in terms of, it's an item-locking Pokemon, and sure, it's not there yet, but you never know if it might end up getting there with a little more support. Obviously, if you're talking about Galvantula, we also need to mention the Joltik here, one of the very best cards in the set, which is, good for accelerating 4 energy, which is clearly ridiculous. Joltik is brilliant. Really good card. And then, in terms of your trainers, we've got decent ace specs. Sparkling Crystal, obviously a very good one that is seeing a bunch of play. And we've got cards like Crispin and Glass Trumpet and Briar and Area Zero Underdepths. These really good playable cards. So Steallar Crown, very good set. I don't think it is a wow kind of set, but I do think it is a very good set. We've got one big hit, a few decent hits, and then we've got a lot of very playable cards. So then we flick forward to Surging Sparks and we ask the question, well, all right then, what about Surging Sparks? And if we start again like we started with Steallar Crown talking about value here, we got Pikachu. Now the Pikachu is starting to come down a little bit here. The market is correcting as it should have been. But you're still talking, as of recording, a $400 to $500 card. It's like the biggest card in Scarlet and Violet in terms of what you can pull from a pack. It is redonk. It's a great card. You've got that big hit. And then even outside of there, you got your Latias EX, which is about a $200 card. Phenomenal artwork. And then obviously a very playable card that gives free retreat to your basics. But then even after that, your Gold Pikachu's over $100. Your Milotic and your Hydreigon are both sitting around about $80. You got Lizzie's Appeal at about $65. Alolan Executor at about $50. And then you've still got your Latios, which it's a tiny bit below your Bulbasaur and Squirtle, but not that far below in terms of big illustration rares. Now, obviously, this is, as I record, a newer set, so you're always going to have that little bit of inflation because the set is a little bit newer. I understand that. But right now, it's really not even that close in terms of what we're looking at in terms of value. Surging Sparks is there. Like, Surging Sparks has got 3 cards, your Pikachu, Latias, and Gold Pikachu, which are higher than anything in Stellar Crown. But then the mid-range with stuff like Milotic, Hydreigon, and Lizia is higher as well. Not higher than Terrapagos, but higher than anything other than your Terrapagos. So value-wise, hands down, no question, Surging Sparks is beating Stellar Crown. There we go. What about in terms of playability? And the answer is, I'm not sure. Like, in terms of new decks, we've got Ceruledge and Archaladon, which are decent enough decks, but they're really not moving the needle like that. They are borderline decks. Hydreigon looks like it could be good, but it's really not proven itself yet. You got Tatsugiri as a really fun little meme deck, but again, I really don't think that has proven to be a great card yet. We really aren't there. Pikachu is decent, but it's really not like the best card around or anything along those lines. There's a bunch of EXs like we saw with Stellar Crown that are good, but I don't think there's anything yet on the line of a Terrapagos, not judging by the results we've seen from Japan. I know some of the online results we've been seeing from Surging Sparks at the moment are telling us slightly different things, but I think right now the data coming out of Japan is better than the data from online tournaments, where there's less on the line, basically. So it's not so good in that regard. In terms of A-Specs, we've got things like Precious Trolley, which is clearly going to see a bunch of play. But the A-Specs, even though there's 8 of them, they're not great all in. Certainly, Precious Trolley is by far the best of them as I'm looking at deck lists right now. And trainer cards are just not as good as they were in Stellar Crown. So, I think Surging Sparks has got value, and I don't think I've got data. It definitely has value over Stellar Crown. But I think in terms of playability, right now, I think Stellar Crown might be proving to be the better set, which is surprising to me. I really thought Surging Sparks was going to win that. Obviously, I mentioned Latias a minute ago, but let me mention it again. Giving free retreat to all of your basics is busted. There is a lot of potential in Surging Sparks. I just don't think that much of it has been realised yet. So then we move to Prismatic Evolutions. And here's the thing. We don't know everything about this set. We know that it is largely going to be similar in a lot of ways to Terastal Festival over in Japan, but we don't know exactly the extent to which it's going to overlap. Having said that, it should at least have the new cards. So things like the new Max Rod and the things like the Treasure Hunting Gadget, they should be in the set. But those A-Specs are not on the same level as the ones from Stellar Crown or Surging Sparks. Not right now. But we do know, although there aren't that many new cards, and don't expect that many new cards to be clear, we do know we've got all the EVs coming, and I'm going to be honest with you, some of the EVs do look very, very tasty. Flareon for 2 energy does 130 and attaches 2 basic energy from your deck to one of your Pokemon. There's got to be some potential with that one here. And let's just jump straight to what is actually probably going to be my favourite of them playability-wise here. Because Umbreon, free energy, discard it all, draw a prize? Yeah, I'll take that. That seems pretty gosh darn good now, doesn't it? There are some tasty-looking evolutions in this set. But there aren't that many new ones. Like, all the evolutions are new, obviously. Oh, and I really like the Jolteon as well, actually. The Jolteon makes me very happy. This is 2 energy, 60 damage. And then you can discard up to 2 energy from your bench Pokemon, basic energy. And for each one that you discard, you do an extra 90. Or just free energy, 280. There are some good ones here that make me very, very happy. So, I'm just saying, there is a lot of potential here, alright? A lot of potential. Oh, how about Glaceon that's got free energy, and if your opponent's Pokemon has exactly 6 damage counters on, auto KO. And we know we got ways to fudge that. So, I'm loving that. But we've got like a couple of A-specs which don't seem that good. We got the Evolutions, but that is about it. There's not that much new in this set. Playability-wise, it's going to be disappointing. But that's not the point. I mean, we've already seen some of the special illustration rares, like this Dragapult, which is absurd. This Golden Go, which is absurd. This Blood Moon Ursaluna, which is absurd. And then, of course, there's a Terrapagos in there as well, which, yeah, it's phenomenal. And I can't show you great images, and I'm sorry that I can't show you great images, but remember how there's that poster with all 9 of the special illustration rare Eevees? And putting it bluntly, from a collector's standpoint, everything else I've said in this video up to now is irrelevant, sorry. It's all about the Evolutions. From a collection standpoint, slam dunk, hands down victory for Prismatic Evolutions. No question, no competition. Those Evolutions are going to go nuts like they did in Evolving Skies. It's gonna happen. And that kind of leaves Surging Sparks in an awkward situation. Playability-wise, I think it's Stellar Crown. Value-wise, Surging Sparks over Stellar Crown, but it's not going to match Prismatic Evolutions. But I think as an overall set, I think Surging Sparks is probably the best. In terms of mixing your collection and your big hits with your playability, I think Surging Sparks wins here. But I think the big one is going to be Prismatic Evolutions. You have been warned. So there we go. That's my answer. I don't sit on the fence. I give you a clear answer, but now I have. So it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these sets you're going heaviest on. Tell me which of these ones you're more excited about. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Good us. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And of course, get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Chelsea Rose, who's been one of our bigger patrons for a while now, so shout out to them for the support and the loveliness and being awesome. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.